What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Tech Solutions. I hope that you guys are all having an amazing day. I have my amazing guest here today, Priscilla.
Hi, guys.
So we've actually been reviewing a couple of the basics today, right? It came down to wanting to go live, and the reason that I wanted to go live was to talk about the very basics. If any of you guys have ever wanted to get started in investing in the stock market, this is going to be a very similar approach that I've taken. That follows kind of like when I taught my little sister. I made a video with Ella, right, which is one of your friends. I just want to thank Ella. The link should be down there. If it's not down there, then you guys can refresh the screen. You guys can feel free to follow her. I'll plug the link or after repost, then you guys should have the ability to follow just for your Instagram and stuff like that. But altogether, I think you reached out to Ella after you saw Ella posting that she was actively getting invested in the stock market and stuff like that. And I think, yeah, we did message each other maybe back in December is what you said, but we just recently got in contact with one another. And I think the really cool thing about this is that I'm able to showcase her or teach her kind of like the very basics and fundamentals of what I think a lot of new traders don't really know or understand. And because of this, I'm able to now go live and we're able to share this, right, with all the viewers that we have today. So we have a couple of viewers that are tuning in. Guys, I just want to make sure that if we want to ever film a video with Priscilla again, I need you guys to be extremely respectful. Please don't be weird, as you could only imagine, right? So please be respectful. Please don't be weird. And let's kind of get started. We don't have much time before you have to start class. So starting with the very basics, going down the list, right? We talked about what a brokerage is, why Robinhood would be most ideal for you. We talked about you can start with a larger account, a smaller account. I personally suggested a much smaller account, just $100. And remember, I talked about the reason that we wanted to focus on that $100 account is because we're not focusing on the dollar return. We're focusing on that percentage return, right? We just want to make sure that as you're getting started right now, that all you focus on is consistently growing your account and less on the actual dollar value, right? Because if you can prove to yourself right now that week after week, we set a goal for you, 3%, week after week, let's say for a month, you've proven to yourself that you've been able to grow your account 3% week after week, then it would make sense on why later down the road you might feel that much more confident to invest maybe $1,000 or $5,000, right? Because you've proven to yourself that you can, actually trade, can actually grow your account. And that's something that a lot of people I don't think actually take time to do. They have $1,000, $5,000, and they think because they have access to the market and access to $5,000 that they can just go and start making money right now. Right now, we're all about testing the waters and working on consistently growing your account. So we suggested Robinhood just because there's no commission there, and starting with I would suggest maybe like $100 account to kind of just test the waters. And if we had commissions, then it would easily eat up the account altogether. So we talked about the day trades. Day trades means the buying and selling of an equity or a stock, right? All within the same day. That's not really the approach that we talked about, you taking, right? Because of your busy schedule with school, we think that swing trading is going to be a little bit more like ideal for you and your lifestyle. And that means instead of buying and selling a stock all within one day, that means actually just holding it for one day or more, right? And we're going to be mainly focusing on short-term swing trades, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep.
All right. And then the Pdt Rule. So the Pdt Rule, for those that don't know, did you know what the Pdt Rule was before you?
I wasn't. I actually had zero knowledge about this.
Yeah.
Like he had mentioned, my friend Ella started posting about it, and I was super interested in learning about it. So then I reached out to Ricky about it. So that's where we are.
Yeah, so now talking about the Pdt Rule, so I think that's very important for a lot of people to know, especially if you're just getting started. That means that if you have under $25,000 in your brokerage account, you can only day trade, so buy and sell a stock 3 times within a 5-day period. So that's very important to know so you don't get flagged, but also the approach that we're taking with swing trading, we don't really have to worry about that too much unless you end up having to cut losses the same day that you take your position, or if all of a sudden it pushes up and you want to cover profits, then it would make sense, right? But just want to talk about the Pdt Rule, and then always have a plan before investing. So we're going to talk about that. I showed you our private group that you're going to be a part of, right, for Learn, Plan, Profit, and how everyone under the group alerts, what is it that they do on a weekly basis? Did you see that everyone shares their number one stock that they see value in, and they do it in the ticker symbol format? So that talks about posting the ticker symbol, the support and resistance level, so kind of the margin that it has to offer, and as well as the entry point and exit point. So where you plan on buying, where you plan on selling, and then stop loss, where you plan on cutting losses if there's a break of pattern. And then again, why it has potential. So before actually taking a position, you're not just like normally 95% of the market that loses money. They normally don't understand what they're investing in, and they're trading based on other people's opinion. We want to make sure that we're that 5%, and at least we're taking the extra step to ensure that we understand what it is that we're investing in, the risk involved, and see if that opportunity cost is worth it, right? And then indicators that Ricky uses. We talked about the blue line, right?
The blue line, yeah.
Yeah, so remember what the blue line is?
The EMA.
Yeah, and then the green line.
The SMA.
SMA, yeah. So we talked about the blue line, why it's so important to wait for the confirmation and using it in that perspective. And I wrote a very simple breakdown for like the blue line means exponential moving average. That doesn't really mean much, right? But when looking at the charts on the 180-day chart and even intraday on the 1 day, 1 minute, candles below EMA line mean a downward pattern, right? Candles above EMA line mean uptrend pattern. Very simple, right? And that's very important to know because we've talked about confirmation, right? And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Support and resistance level. Why is it, so what's the support? So if there's a stock that normally has a pattern that normally bounces at like $10, and that's normally where it bounces at, that is viewed as a support level, right? And then when there's a usual resistance level, let's say for that same stock at around $11, then that would be a resistance level right around 11. So resistance is where it normally peaks, and then support is where it normally bounces at. And then, trust me, we're going to have Priscilla start doing a couple breakdowns in just a couple minutes, and then you're going to be talking about all these support, resistance levels, EMA and SMA indicators, and putting it all together. Are you excited?
Yep. A little nervous, but.
No, you're good. So, and now talking about RSI, we talked about like being able to understand that 30 or below means more on the oversold side, so potential good deal. 70 or above is more on the overbought side, not such a good deal, right? But again, we never want to rely solely on any indicator, so just something to take into consideration. And then the volume. I talked to you about pump and dumps, how it's easy to identify when there's manipulation going on with volume, right? We use TOPS for an example, and you saw that huge downward pattern, that descending pattern, and then all of a sudden it would have no volume, and then for 2 or 3 days it'd have huge rushes of volume with a huge price increase. Is that something that you want to be a part of, like that manipulation?
No, not at all.
Yeah, because again, we're not here to get lucky or to hope that we make money. We're here to actually understand what we're investing in and to consistently grow our account. Because if I'm not here tomorrow, but at least you understand all this, you'd still be able to at least understand how to do this on your own, right? And that's the goal. So now moving on to the back. So this is the juicy stuff. So this is the weekly percentage growth goal. So we set a goal for you for about 3 to 5%. And I think that we could agree that for the first couple of weeks, I think I would like to aim for about 3%. And then if you can, do that consistently on a weekly basis, then that's the goal that I'd like to aim for, right? 5%, like that would be great if you can, but to not overwhelm yourself, right? I think if we focus on 3% on a weekly basis, at least we can get the ball rolling. Now, the 3 golden rules. I'm going to start sharing the screen. We'll be in the little sidebar right now. So let's actually do that. Let's go here, and then we're going to go. I'm going to close myself out. I'm going to just put you, all right? So it's just going to be you. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So we're going to put you right there. And we are going to talk about the 3 golden rules. So that is like, is it a good deal? Does it offer, your target percentage potential for profit? And then has it confirmed an uptrend, right? The very simple rules. And we're going to do this on the 180-day 4-hour chart. Why is it that we said that it's good to take a look at the big picture? So something like looking at like Tesla right now, right? Why is it very important to look at the big picture 180-day 4-hour chart in comparison to like the 1 day 1 minute? Like if we look at the 1 day 1 minute, we just see that, okay, it's been descending, but we don't get a lot of like data, right? We can't really see the overall patterns, especially if you plan on swing trading for maybe a couple of weeks, right? Looking at the 180-day analysis, it's very easy to determine like, hey, well, based off previous patterns, right? Support here, resistance here, and there's obviously a break of pattern. So now we're going to dedicate some time and just start breaking down a couple stocks. You are going to pick, just like we do in the private group, on a weekly basis. We do a top number 1 stock pick for the week. Just one stock that you're going to invest in for the week. That's what does it have to do? It has to be a good deal. It has to offer your weekly percentage growth potential, and then confirming an uptrend pattern. So this is where you're going to take over.
Okay. So my top
So let's break down like
Should
a
we-
couple of these.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and break down Twitter, and in your opinion, why this would not be the best investment right now. So looking at Twitter right now on this 180-day analysis, what are the indicators that you could see that are telling you that it might not just be the best buy right now?
So the EMA, first of all, is going downward.
Yeah, so we could see that the EMA line right there is actively pointing down, and it continuously has shown that it's been rejected, right? So when it tries to recover, so you can have a red right there, it has continuously been rejected by the EMA indicator. So it's been showing nothing but a downward pattern. So what would need to happen for you to consider investing in Twitter?
It would have to go back into this, like at least keep going, continuously going up, and at least hit at least like 33, just so it has a little bit of support.
Yeah,
right?
and yeah, I mean, looking at the previous patterns, so, and it's very simple, like it's nothing crazy. Looking at the previous patterns, do you see that when you try to find a good deal, it normally bounces at this SMA line, this green line right here. We'll just call it the green line, right?
The green line, okay.
So it has a sell-off, it bounces here, and then we could wait for the break above the EMA and the SMA, and it acts as a support. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's the normal pattern that follows. There's been a break of pattern. It broke below the SMA, so now what do we want it to do? We don't only want it to break above the EMA, but we want it to break above the SMA for it to continue this ascending uptrend pattern. So I'm really happy to hear that you pointed that out. Now let's move on to the next one. So this is Ford. So we talked about this one, and what is it that we said about this one? There's a lot of consolidation that's going on, and is this one that you would want to take a position on right now?
I wouldn't, just because it's a little bit risky, because there's a lot, just because the SMA and the EMA are very close together, would I say?
Yeah, and I mean, they're both still pointing down, right?
Yeah.
So looking at the margin, remember we talked about the margin that the pattern that while it's consolidating here, it has shown us support at around 10.50 and a resistance right around $11. We're right around 10.86. That's too close to the resistance. That opportunity cost is not worth it. We either want to see it break above $11 and continue to trend up. That might be attractive, or for it to sell off, bounce at 10.50, and then be able to ride it from 10.50 to $11, right?
Yeah.
So until then, I would say, we have our alerts set for the break above 10.25, or for the alert when it starts to trend down, and we could buy the dip. Okay. Next one, we'll do this one and then one more, and then we'll go to the top one that you see valuing and why. So looking at Oracle, what pattern do you see right here? So from the support here at $47 and the resistance here at 53. So we talked about uptrend patterns, horizontal patterns, and downward patterns. Which one would you consider Oracle to be?
Horizontal.
Yeah, so looking at the horizontal pattern, why would you say that it's a horizontal pattern? Do you see the support here that it normally bounces at around $47 and then the resistance to be right around 53? It's a very parallel pattern, right? And it's almost like CPG. So looking at CPG, do you see this very horizontal pattern? Easy to identify the low points and the high points. Very simple, right? Why, looking at Oracle, because it's so simple, why would, if this is normally the support and it's all the way down here, isn't this considered a good buy? And isn't it it's considered a good deal and the margin of profit is worth it? Why would I not want to take a position right now? It meets 2 out of my 3 criteria right now. Why would I not want to take a position right now?
Because it's still going downward.
Okay, so the EMA line is still pointing down, right? So we can see that right here. It's still being rejected by the EMA. And trust me, I can honestly say that I make the mistake all the time, and it's just a matter of patience and discipline, and it's going to happen. But if you can minimize the amount of times that you take a position before the confirmation, then I think overall you should see a much higher form of success. So the normal pattern is from $47 to 53, to 52 or 53. And what can we wait for? Simply set our alerts at $57 and wait for it to come back to the pattern that we normally
47
trade at. Yeah, and that's why we have our alert set there, right? So it's just a patient factor. It's great. It's a great deal, but I'm going to wait till it's within the patterns that I understand, right?
Yeah.
And then, we talked about that one. Let's just go straight to the one that you see value in.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay.
JDST.
So why is it with JDST right now? And they're probably going to laugh because that's one that I trade all the time. So this is the one that I closed a little bit over $1,000 profit today. But why is it that we talked about this one? That you see that out of every stock that we've broken down, we don't want to waste time, right? But out of every stock that we've broken down, what are the 3 things that you saw about this one that it ended up like, being attractive to you?
Because the opportunity cost is more. The blue line is currently going up,
So the EMA line is pointing up, showing signs of an uptrend pattern. You said the opportunity cost is still worth it. Can you explain that? So right now it's right around $57, and it's being held up by this SMA line. So we talked about one of two things that can happen. And what are those one of two things?
It could either skyrocket or
go to $60, right? So cover from $57 to $60 and continue the uptrend rally, right? Or what's another thing that can happen? Because it's so close to this SMA line that was previously a support, it can act as a what?
A resistance.
Exactly. So it can hit the SMA line, get rejected, and then it might bounce on the EMA. So what is it that we're waiting for? We're waiting for tomorrow for it to hold and stay above $57 to validate that it's going to continue to trend up to $60. You talked about the opportunity cost, your weekly goal being about 3%. This one offering almost double that, right?
Yeah.
So the opportunity cost is there. It's actively trending up. And does it look like it's a good deal? I mean, the margin of profit is still attractive, right? So that's why. So it's actively trending up. It looks like a good deal. And the percentage of profit, the opportunity cost is still worth it.
Yep.
That's really just it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any questions for me as of now? I mean, I feel like we covered quite a bit. We talked about the uptrend patterns, the horizontal patterns, the downward patterns. Let me put this out. Let's see. Oh. Heck, Justin, what did you know there? What? What do you mean? Oh, well, okay. Well, I'll double check that in just a bit. But that is really just it. So, first of all, Priscilla, thank you again so much for coming out and meeting up. I know you have to go to class right now, so we'll get you out of here. But altogether, guys, and this is why it's like really frustrating. Like if you guys are being like disrespectful in any way or childish, I just need you guys to understand that like we have these guests, right? And I'm sharing like I could have just done this like just how we did. We did it like without the camera and stuff like that, and I'm just teaching you how to trade. But the whole reason that we make these videos is because of the positive impact that it can have on the viewers and me teaching Priscilla, and then that like teaching style can be effective for those that are viewing this. So if you guys are going to continue to be like childish and stuff like that, then I'll simply like ban you and remove you both from TechBit Solutions and our overall YouTube. So there's no reason to have any of like the negative feedback, or I can only imagine like how childish these guys are trying to be, right? So I want to thank you again for coming out. It's time to kind of head on out. All the links are down below. If you guys want to stay connected with our free networking group, it's the third link in the description. We're gonna make sure that we get enroll you today in the Learn, Plan, Profit course. So if you guys are part of that, then Priscilla's gonna be part of the team as well. And that's the first link in the description. That's our private group chat where we speak to one another on a daily basis every single day at market open. So you actually get the ability to speak to me and the other Learn, Plan, Profit members. And there's a full-on course that shows you exactly what it is that you need to know that you're going to be reviewing within the next couple of days, right? So
excited to learn all about the stock
right?
market.
We have to beat Ella, right? That's the challenge. That's who you're going to be going against. So thank you again, Ella, for everything that you do. Thank you again, Priscilla. And hope you guys all have an amazing day. Continue working hard. Continue following your dreams. Let your passion be what drives your success. And like always, let's make sure that we win the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.